As David quite rightly introduced me, my name is Stuart Sankey. Yes, I'm sales director at Coupons.com for Europe. But essentially, I oversee our client relationships at Coupons.com and oversee all the different activities that we do, both in the UK and in the European markets that we operate in. And what I'm going to try and share with you today is some examples of what our clients, so FMCG brands and supermarket retailers, are doing within the social marketing space, and in particular, across social media. So I was going to start with a question of posing a question of saying, well, you're probably thinking, who the hell are Coupons.com and why are they talking to me about social marketing? However, Richard from GfK did a fantastic job of pitching Coupons and the important role that they currently play in social media. So thank you, Richard, if you're still here. But I think it's fair to say that coupons and vouchers, there's difference in terminology, it doesn't really matter at this stage, but coupons and vouchers have always been part of the social marketing mix. Social marketing, in my eyes, isn't something that's new today. And essentially you can see, if you look back through time, that storytellers within the social marketing space have always used things like coupons and vouchers to help them drive action of some sort amongst consumers via social platforms. And you can go right back to the early days when Coca-Cola first issued a coupon in 1888 to what I presume, I hope, most of us remember as a Threshers voucher that was released by Threshers in what was at that stage a relatively primitive, compared to these days, social environment and digital environment, and actually I don't think contributed that positively to the outcome of what Threshers doesn't exist. That's because they didn't do it properly. And to what kind of now is where coupons are actually being coupons and vouchers are being quite extensively used by brands across an ever-evolving social media landscape. When we talk about social media, a lot of people talk about likes, they talk about followers, tweets, fans, plus ones, video views, that sort of stuff. But actually, when I sit in front of our clients, they say, well, actually, we're spending money on social media, but the bottom line is that we want to identify customers and we want to drive sales, because that's what it leads down to. And so what I'm going to share with you and talk to you specifically about today is how FMCG brands and retailers, so even if you don't have FMCG in your mind, I'm sure there's some stuff that you can take out of this that you can apply to your individual circles and the work that you're doing, and how they're using social media to actually influence purchase. A bit about us. I posed the question about who are Coupons.com and why they're talking about social marketing. In the US, we're a top 40 website. We have 21 million unique visitors per month going to our website, which brands use to engage with primary household shoppers before they go into the in-store environment. Consumers use us to plan their shopping before they go in-store, and essentially to make savings and be able to harness their new savvy approach. We have a top 40 website, but we also have mobile applications, and we have a few fingers in quite a few digital pies. In Europe, we don't have a website like Coupons.com. And essentially what we do is that we actually use the technology that underpins what we do in the US, so a secure voucher or coupon distribution technology, to help FMCG brands and retailers bridge that gap between their digital activity and actually driving measurable offline sales. So we help them coupon enable things like their emails, brand sites, and in particular, social activity and video content, which is what we're going to focus on today. Just a bit of a snapshot of some of the clients that we work with, but pretty much most FMCG manufacturers. I think before I go on to share examples, it's important to just state, why has social media become so important for brands? And I know a lot of people this morning have touched upon things like the path to purchase and that sort of stuff. I'm going to try and simplify that, hopefully, into a little bit more. So what we have on screen is what I would consider to be the traditional path to purchase. So a consumer would see a stimulus from above-the-line activity, TV activity, etc. They would go in store into a supermarket, so we're talking about FMCG brands here. They'd go in store and they'd be engaged with the packaging for that particular product or that brand, and they would actually pick that product off the shelf and put it into their shopping trolley or their shopping basket. P&G actually in 2005 coined that as the first moment of truth. The consumer would then use the product, either immediately or they'd take it home after they've bought it. They would then evaluate or make a decision about whether they are going to reuse that product and purchase it again, or ultimately drop it from their shopping list next time, okay? Also known as the second moment of truth. So in the olden traditional, well, the olden, not that old, but in the traditional path to purchase, evaluation, product evaluation, was a very personal thing, okay? And essentially, it was traditionally post-purchase. Nowadays, we're all driving to be a little bit more savvy in our shopping approach. We are looking to seek for greater value. We've always, well, in the digital age, there's been a real trend about researching online and purchasing offline. People are now researching offline for some goods and actually purchasing online. But there is an action amongst shoppers and consumers, and I'm sure we've all done it, where we're actually researching our purchases more and more. And this is actually happening in the grocery space as well. People are writing shopping lists digitally, and there are websites out there called like My Supermarket, for example, where even though you only can buy your online shopping from it, if you're a savvy shopper, you're going to build a shopping list and then go, where am I getting the best value from here? But linking this back to social media and social marketing, I think it's important to understand the role that social media plays in this new path to purchase. And essentially, one person's evaluation of a product has a huge influence on somebody else's pre-shopping decision-making. Okay? You know, that's writing a review. That's changing your Facebook status update or sending out a tweet. That might be just to your friends, but actually, it's from anybody. You know, TripAdvisor is a classic example of this. Before I ever go on holiday or book a hotel, I don't know why, but I'll go onto TripAdvisor, I'd read what other people are saying. I have no idea who they are. No idea who they are, but I'm going to value what they're telling me. Now, they may not be, you know, the right people or not, but I'm taking on their opinion. Essentially, what we have is what Google have recently phrased as the zero moment of truth, and something that I would recommend reading about if you're not so familiar with it, but essentially saying that the first moment of truth no longer exists, and there is now a zero moment of truth. Some of these have been touched upon already by both Facebook and by GfK, but I'm just going to reinforce this and make this to help lead into some of the examples I'm going to share with you. Okay? I think it's important to note that in the supermarket space, in the FMCG space, shopping is still happening offline. The vast majority of shopping is still happening offline. And actually, it's not expected to rise. Online grocery shopping is not expected to rise at the rate that everybody thinks it is. And so by 2016 from a recent survey, said that grocery shopping was only expected to take a 6% market share of the total supermarket space. Okay? So there's a core challenge there for FMCG brands, and that's, okay, we're investing in social media, we're investing in digital, but actually most of our stuff is happening offline. How do we influence that path to purchase? In addition, there's a bit of good news and bad news. Okay, so GfK have backed this up, and I'm not going to go into the stats because probably their stats are more up to date than mine. However, I think it's fair to say that if an FMCG brand or a retailer can acquire a fan across whatever social platform that they're doing, or a follower, or engage with an individual shopper or consumer, that person is much more likely to be an advocate of that particular brand. Okay? However, the reality is that those people are really, really difficult to find. They're really difficult to get to in the first place. And ultimately, only 8% of Facebook fans follow an FMCG brand. I think GfK had a slightly outdated statistic. Okay? In addition to that, in a survey, people said that the primary reason that they like a brand on Facebook is, no surprise here, get exclusive deals or offers. So there are a couple of different challenges for those FMCG brands and those retailers to take on board. But again, as I said, it can be applied outside of the FMCG space. And so what we believe is that there are quite a few key success factors to doing social media activity and to running promotions and campaigns across social media. A lot of brands and retailers think, yeah, okay, I've got my goal. My goal is to drive sales, or it's to influence purchase, or to promote a particular product. So all I've got to do is put a Facebook page up there, or set up a Twitter page, buy a little bit of media, run a campaign to get some fans, and that will drive me to reaching my goal of influencing purchase. But the reality is that a lot of brands forget, and we've seen a good example in the organic case study prior to this, but a lot of brands forget that they've actually got to take 3 key steps before they get to that stage. Number 1, they've got to get into the content feeds of the individual that they're trying, the fans and the followers that they have. So they've got to generate cut-through. And I think somebody posed a very valid question earlier, which was, we're not getting as much cut-through from Facebook as we did previously. So key challenge, and I think the Facebook guy, Luke, responded quite well by saying, well, actually, you know, as long as you have regular content, you can continue to generate cut-through and good positive content, and you can continue driving engagement. And so the next key step is getting people to continue talking about the messages that you're trying to get across to help influence that purchase decision. And then the third thing is to actually harness the people that you're engaging with and the conversations that you're having to drive amplification. Ultimately, what I'm going to try and do for you now is to actually show you about 7 case studies in one go, right? And I'm going to zip through them, and after this session, I'm about, my colleague Dave's about, and we're happy to answer any questions and any ideas. I hope this just provides a little bit of food for thought for some of the stuff that you can be doing in the social media space. Most of what I'm going to show you is on Facebook, because Facebook plays at this moment in time, has the largest share of what brands are operating in within the social media space. So it's no surprise that what I'm going to show you a lot of is about Facebook. But I do have a Twitter example campaign. Okay? This is one of my favorite campaigns. So spam. We all remember, I remember it from childhood. It had like a real bad stigma attached to it and that kind of stuff. And they had a brief which was to actually create conversation and stimulate more of a cult following amongst a younger audience and a younger demographic. So they launched a Facebook page. They started, after 2 weeks with that Facebook page, they had 148 fans. Okay? They bought a little bit of Facebook media, and then they ran a promotion at the same time, driving traffic, using the Facebook media to help drive traffic to that. But Facebook media wasn't the sole way of increasing the audience that they were primarily engaging with. And they gave away a free can of spam, but they didn't give away, they grew their fan base from 148 to 28,000 in 4 weeks. But they didn't just give away a free can of spam to every single one of those 28,000 people. They said there's 100 free cans of spam available per day at random times. You've got to like the page to get to have a chance of winning one of those free cans of spam. And you might think, free can of spam, but people love free things, right? Just for the sake of it, they'll try and get a free thing. Of the people that actually went on, yes, one of the results was that they were actually physically able to drive people in store to actually go down the aisles and pick a can of spam off the shelf and put it in a shopping basket. 55% of people that actually claimed a coupon went on to do that. But actually, more importantly, as a really good example of what spam are up to, and I would definitely recommend going to have a look at their Facebook page, is that today, so that was about a year and a half ago, that 848 to 28,000 fans. Today, they have 148,000 fans on the UK spam Facebook page. Why? Because they've brought spam back into vogue, right? They've continued the conversation. They've driven that cut-through. They've continued to drive that cut-through. They're driving that engagement. And they've been able to amplify the activity by leveraging the sharing effect of social media. Another example is actually quite recent, and this is a good example of, this space wasn't made for someone big like me, but there is another example of, a bit like the organic campaign that we've just seen from Haygarth, of a multi-channel campaign. Plum Baby, it's a premium baby food product, ran a campaign that was supported by PR. They produced video content and they purchased online media. So it's paid, owned, and earned media campaign. The video content was actually a really key driver in this. The videos that they created were instructional videos on weaning your baby off breast milk and going into food, okay? Because that's the space that they're operating in. And they got a celebrity chef to actually form part of that and to drive that video content. They placed those videos up on YouTube, promoted them via the Facebook page and from their main website. Over the course of the campaign, which was about 2 or 3 weeks, they received 137 pieces of coverage across media, blogs, and social media sites. They gave away coupons from their Facebook page. So Facebook was the hub of the activity. They gave away coupons on the Facebook page for stage 1 and stage 2 products, depending on where you were in the cycle. And of those, they were able to physically drive trial of that activity. So the core goals were increasing community size and driving trial. They were able to physically drive trial with 66% of the people claiming a coupon actually going to redeem that offer. 15,000 YouTube views and a 305% increase in fans over the course of the promotion. Twitter, Tesco get a lot of flack in social media, don't they? None more recently than over what's happened over the last couple of weeks. So Tesco don't necessarily use social media to measurably drive in-store sales or drive purchase intent or anything like that. They try and use social media to create a positive impact, and they actually do a lot of campaigns around social media at key holiday periods. So Easter's coming up, there might be a Tesco campaign, right? Christmas, this was. And what they want to get people talking about Tesco across social media platforms at those key purchasing times like Christmas, Easter, and so on, back to school. They was teamed up with Twitter to sponsor a trend and sponsor a tweet. And I think they did a couple of trends over a 1-week period, and a couple of tweets over that period. They basically wanted to create a virtual Christmas cracker across Twitter. They invited Twitter followers to tweet a message to a friend to pull a virtual cracker. The way that crackers work is that one person wins, one person loses, right? They gave prizes away for that. The prizes were Kindles and iPads and that kind of stuff, but actually the majority of prizes were for a free Lindt chocolate bar at Christmas. Everyone wants a free product. Most people got obviously a free Lindt chocolate bar. Over the course of 1 week, they got 100,000 people playing that game. They gave away a whole load of coupons, and 20,000 people actually went into Facebook stores, not yet, went into Tesco stores to actually redeem their free product coupon on God knows what else that they bought at the same time. Okay? This is a good example of continually driving that cut through and that engagement. Does everybody remember, or it's actually back on TV now, everybody familiar with the Febreze TV ads where somebody's blindfolded and they go into this horrible dive, and then suddenly they go, what does it smell like? And they go, oh, it's an English country garden in here, and it's like a tip. Those were quite popular, those TV ads. And so what Febreze did was say, well, let's try and maximize the amount of money that we spent on creating these TV commercials and actually take that into the social media environment to actually continue the conversation that our brand followers want to have around the content that we're producing. They made all the TV content available, but quite cleverly, in addition to all that, and continued driving the conversation, they were actually able to measurably drive people in store by saying, actually, if you ended up watching the video, they rewarded you by saying, click here when you saw the product, click here to print a coupon. And they gave away a £1 off Febreze at Tesco coupon, of which 55% of people that watched the video ended up claiming. And going in store to redeem. And it allowed them to clear a clear route in store. And then the last kind of Facebook example, well, not actually the last, but the penultimate Facebook example I'm going to share with you is something for Innocent, that Innocent did. They're quite clever, quite creative organisation, even though they've just sold out fully to Coca-Cola. Their core messaging was about fruit and how much fruit content there are in Innocent smoothies, etc. So they played on the pub fruit machine game, quite cleverly. like the Facebook page, spin the wheel to see what you've won. Various different prizes like spa days, etc. However, there are also a lot of product coupons in there. They leveraged the Facebook sharing effect by saying, if you didn't like the prize that you were awarded, gift it. Box comes up, choose a Facebook friend to give that particular coupon to. That appeared in that friend's newsfeed and message wall. Those friends then were aware of the core messaging around Innocent. They then took part in a promotion, and guess what? They gifted too. And suddenly the whole campaign spiraled, but within complete control by Innocent. Okay? The last example I'm going to share with you is actually a P&G example. Okay? Now, Super Savvy Me is a P&G brand. But it's not a brand that you'll find in the supermarkets, because it's not something that they sell. Essentially, it's their direct-to-consumer web domain, where they are they've identified their primary household shopper, and they're communicating to that person with a multi-brand approach. They've taken that website, supersavvyme.co.uk, go check it out. They've taken that website and put it into the social media domain, and this is an example of a campaign that they ran focusing on their community. If I can play it without clicking to the next slide. Nope. Okay. Oh, guess what? Hang on. Limited access. Disconnect from the wireless. Yep. Okay. Connected. No. We might have to skip it, but in the presentations that everyone's getting, it doesn't want to connect to the wireless anymore. No network access. Internet's down. So this was an example of a campaign that they run. Unsuccessful. Okay. This was an example of a campaign that they ran where they've built an app on Facebook called Mission Control. And what they found was that the community that they were engaging with were all about sharing tips and advice amongst each other. And what they found was on the Facebook newsfeed that those tips and advice that people were sharing with each other were getting lost. And there was essentially what they've done is create a library for those tips and advice from different mums to allow mums to create a to-do list and ask other mums within this application for advice on, so for example, how do I get grass cricket stains out of my son's cricket whites, for example. And then somebody else would reply to that content and say, well, I think the best thing to do is to soak the whites in vinegar before you then wash them. So it's not relating directly to P&G products. And the more that mums engage with it, are we going to have video?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You are connected.
Okay. Okay, we're on.
Is it possible to have a to-do list that practically does itself? In 2012, we worked with Real Mums and P&G to co-create an app that did just that. It was called Mission Control, a real-time to-do list app that crowdsourced help exactly when mums needed it and cleverly rewarded them with relevant P&G product coupons according to their to-do list. How did we create it? We started by engaging with mums on Facebook, discovering how much valuable stuff they do every day. We then joined forces with the busiest mums we'd found to figure out what we could do to help them get more done. They told us times had changed. Instead of meeting at the school gate, mums meet on Facebook to share support, tips and advice. But these invaluable gems got lost every time another mum posted on the page. Now that we knew the problems, we could create the solution. And this is how it worked. Mission Control combined smart technology and gaming techniques to make to-do lists easier to get through. When mums write their list on the app, a call goes out to the other mums using it for help. They then contribute hints and tips to get that to-do ticked off ASAP. So with Mission Control, a problem shared really is a problem halved, and then some. Thanks to the app's integrated search engine, tips and advice can easily be found by others, a Facebook first. And the more mums ticked off their to-do lists and helped others, the more they got rewarded with stickers that could be swapped for relevant P&G product coupons, fueling the cycle of creating and sharing great content, and most importantly, putting an end to the never-ending to-do list. The results. After 2 weeks, Mission Control became a Facebook phenomenon. 22,000 to-do list items were added, over 10,000 questions were asked, and in reply, 85,000 tips and ideas were shared by other mums to help answer them. The average dwell time was 18 minutes and the app had 51% repeat visitors. 35,000 stickers were unlocked and swapped for 33,000 coupons, creating a peak in sales and cementing P&G's relevance in helping mums get more things done.
So that explains it a lot better than I could. I must say that we didn't create the app. The app was created by P&G's agency, who I can tell you who they are if you ask me outside of this. It was clearly a very good example of quite an integrated approach to maximising the effect of social media to essentially influence purchase decision making. To summarise then quickly, if we go back a couple of slides and go, well, okay, let's remember, so we're talking about getting fans, generating cut-through, driving engagement, generating and then maximising that to produce amplification. I think the key, from my point, the key way of summarising those examples is saying it's important to keep grabbing the attention, encourage that conversation, and leverage those networks. And ultimately, yes, I could say that coupons can help you achieve all those goals, but obviously there are a whole host of other tools that you can use outside of coupons that can allow you to take those 3 steps to achieving your social media goals. That's it for me.